All right. So good to have you guys here. Thank you so much, Elise and Devi, for joining me for the solo travel Q&A. Really, really glad to have you guys here. So what I'm going to do is ask a couple of questions to you both, and I'll let you guys both answer. So this is obviously around solo travel. I know that you guys have a bit of experience with that as well. So the first question that we have here is, let me just have a look. So I guess what we want to know is what are the best ways to meet people and make friends while traveling solo? So Elise, we'll start with you first. So if you just want to give us an answer to that one.
Okay, I have a few. You should stay in hostels and do the activities the hostel have, because then you meet people there. You can travel, do group travel tours, take cooking classes, painting classes with people that have the same interest as you. And you can get friends through Facebook.
Love that.
I traveled to Italy, no, to Austria. There I met a friend through Facebook and we traveled together for so yeah.
Amazing. So you met her through a Facebook group, was it? Like, was it a travel Facebook group, or how did you meet her on Facebook?
I posted a post on the travel solo female travel group.
Right.
Someone responded and then we met.
Amazing. Just like that. And it's pretty easy, isn't it? Because I think we've spoken about this in the group before as well. I think I spoke to someone else about this where even not traveling, like there's an app called Bumble BFF, and basically you can actually meet people on there as well. And I think you can actually do it with traveling, but when I moved to Wollongong, which is a place that I've moved to from a big city like a couple of years ago, I used the app to meet people because I was quite new to the town. But I think you can actually use it when you travel as well. So I think meeting people through like a Facebook group is really great. And then also through the Bumble BFF app as well. But how was your experience meeting the girl through the Facebook group?
Um, I had uh, a good time. We went. She showed me around in the city because she lived there. So I got a free sightseeing trip
Love
and
that.
had fun and
Yeah.
got a new
Sorry, what was that?
friend.
You got a new friend. Amazing. That's so good. And did it feel like pretty organic when you met her, or did it feel awkward, or were you sort of like did it just sort of like click straight away?
Yeah, it was good right away.
That's so good. I feel like, yeah, sometimes meeting people can feel a bit scary, but I think like just putting yourself out there is really important. And yeah, I think that's like the main thing, really putting yourself out there. And I guess like solo traveling, does it kind of feel a bit lonely at times, would you say, Elise?
Yeah, sometimes. But
Yeah.
then you can try to find some groups and talk to people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think you said like a did you say a cooking class and like painting class and things like that as well?
Yes.
So have you been to one of those before?
I was at a cooking class in Japan, but then I was on a group tour, so I was with a lot of different people.
That's
So,
good. That's good. And then also with the hostels, I think you were saying as well, like, have you sort of stayed in ones that you stay with different people, like in the actual room itself? Or did you have an experience where it's like your own room? Or how does that work with hostels?
no, I stayed with a lot of people, but in hostels they have if you order through Hostelworld, they have an app where you can ask questions to other people at the same hostel.
Really? So there's an
Yeah.
app. You can actually like meet people on the app.
Yes, when you have ordered where you should stay, then you can talk to people that stay there at the same time as you.
Ah, so would you like get on the app before you actually leave? Like before you actually stay there? Is that how it works? Like say like a couple of weeks before, like would you get on the app and meet people then?
I think you can a bit before, yes, and you can do it while you are there.
That's amazing. I didn't actually know that there was an app for that. And what's the app called? Sorry.
Hostel World. I can write
Hostel.
it.
Yeah, we'll have to like link that in the description as well because that's interesting because I actually never knew that there was anything like that. So that's really great for people that are solo traveling then.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And how about you, Debbie? So what would you say the best ways are to meet people and make friends while traveling solo?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Elise. It might be good to stay in hostels, so but it's not what I would do. So I try to avoid it because the only people I met there will meet there foreigners, and I'm not interested in meeting those. But it's a cheap budget version of finding accommodation, and hotels are definitely too expensive. For meeting people, I would have thought about couch surfing because when you do, you don't always need to look for a couch, but you could say you are going there and you want to meet local people, and this is what I would go for. I don't want to spend my time with the people who are traveling or who are tourists. So, but I would like to meet local people, and then yes, Facebook groups might be good, but or couch surfing, which
So
is
when you
also or a website where you can actually check places where you go and say if someone would love to meet you and spend time with you, and it doesn't have to be that you stay in this person's place, but you could just go for coffee or do some sightseeing or whatsoever. But yeah, I'm not using any of this.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. So couch surfing, so that's also an app. Is that what the app's called? Like couch surfing as well? Okay, that's good to know because we'll have to link that in the description as well for other people to know because with the couch surfing, would you say that's sort of like longer term or could you actually do it for maybe a couple of days and things like that as well?
No, I knew it when it was just a website, and whenever you go to a place, you could look for a couch so that you could actually try to stay in someone's place. But some people don't have a couch, but they would still want to meet up with travelers and meet up, show them their place or their town or what is interesting there, have a chat, and later on it got an app as well, and I think that's a good version of meeting local people. So where I always would go for the local people, not for the ones who travel.
Yeah, right, right. So it's more for local people and things like that. Yeah. Okay, cool. I love that idea. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And then my next question is, so Elise, we'll start with you first again. So my question is, how do you feel safe as a female solo traveler? And what are some practical safety tips for women traveling alone that you think that you might be able to share when it comes to that?
Okay. To be honest, I have felt safe everywhere I went, but early is better than late,
Mm.
and trust your gut. That's my two most important tips.
What was that last bit? Sorry.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Yeah. It's so true, right? Because I think especially as women, I feel like we always have this intuition where we can actually feel if something's a bit off. And I think you're
Yeah,
right. It's important to always listen to that as well. So sometimes as women we don't listen to that. We just sort of, think everything's okay, but it's very, very important to listen to your gut. Have you had an experience where you've had to do that, or have you always had pretty good experiences, feeling safe and traveling solo and things like that?
well, I have been very lucky, so I have always felt safe, but I wouldn't go outside at night some places, but other places it is fine, but I usually are up early and go to bed early when I am traveling.
Right. You're not really out that much at night and things like that, which is, yeah, definitely. more safe as like a female solo traveler. What sort of places have you been when you've actually solo traveled?
My first one was in Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I was 5 days, and then my second one, I was 3 weeks in Japan. And some small trips to Sweden or Denmark or Germany. And I was on Interrail this year, so I was in 6 different countries. Italy, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, England.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember right.
It sounds like there's been so many places that you've been solo traveling. That's amazing, and it's so good to hear that you felt safe as well, which is really good. And yeah, I think it's really good advice to actually trust your intuition as well. And how did you feel when you went? I think you said like you went on like a longer trip as well. Did you say it was for 3 weeks or something?
Yeah, but I was away on Interrail for 4 weeks this year as well, so
Interrail, is that with the like you're on the train?
yeah, train.
Wow. So are you like, would you say that you met quite a few people along the way on that trip as well?
Actually not one. I met someone, but I stayed mostly in hotels and not hostels because I was so tired a lot. So I ended up in host hostels instead.
Right. I feel like, did you feel like it was a bit exhausting, like traveling so much? Is that why you felt tired?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, should I travel this long?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I realized I just needed to be with people. So I called some friends and I met the person through the Facebook group, was
Right.
with them for 2 days, and then I was good to go on my own.
That's good. I feel like, yeah, I could imagine, like I've never actually solo traveled myself, but I can imagine how like it would sort of maybe feel like a little bit lonely at some point. And then once you sort of have that, social interaction with someone, it's sort of like enough to like recharge your batteries. And then you're sort of, good to go again, down of it.
Yeah, and I realized I also needed one more day at one place. I needed 4, not 3. Because
Right. Or
yeah, it helped a lot.
yeah. Well, that's good to know because yeah, I feel like humans are very social animals as well. And I think I've spoken about this before, but I work remotely from home, so I don't really like see a lot of people during the week. And for me, it can be, quite lonely sometimes as well. So I think, yeah, as humans, we definitely need that social aspect as well. So I think it's important just to, see people, even if it's for maybe a couple of hours or, things like that. But I know with you, Debbie, you like your alone time, right? I know you love your alone time. Tell me about that.
Maybe I'm not human at all, so because I I think I prefer being on my own. I have people pretty much non-stop, and I don't have really time on my own. Where I think when I was sailing and Ronnie, the skipper, was still sleeping, and I had the first few hours for myself, I was happy. Or now, where I live with my friend, he goes to bed very late because all his friends are in America. So he spends most of the night talking with them. And when by the time I get up, he's still asleep, and he gets up maybe 2 o'clock. And I'm on my own, and I absolutely love this one. So I don't think I don't want to interact all the time. So I think I'm perfectly fine on my own.
Yeah, I think
But
also because like your job as well is quite like because you're around people a lot as well, and also
yeah,
because you're like a sort of a carer as well, it's like that can be quite exhausting. And when it's with people, you're around people so much. I totally understand like the alone time. Like with me, like I'm a bit of an introvert. Like I'm definitely an introvert. So it's funny, like it's the job I do like suits me quite well, but also I need that social interaction. But then if I'm around people for a long time, like say a couple of hours, I need to go back home and have time to myself and recharge my batteries because I just lose my energy so easily when I'm around people a lot. But there's a balance. I think the balance is probably the most important thing, trying to find the perfect balance of both.
Yeah, but I'm an introvert by myself. So, and yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why I think after a day work, so I need like a few hours to unwind and to be me, because every time when I go out and take care of the old people, you have to smile and you have to be kind of cheery so that they are not getting more depressed than they are. And so for me, alone time is really, really important.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Elise, do you find the same thing as well? Are you similar to
Yes.
that? 'Cause I know you work in healthcare as well, right?
Yeah, but I'm definitely an introvert too.
Yeah. So like really need to like recharge your batteries and your energy, yeah, after like a couple of hours with people.
Yeah, I like being on my own as well, but sometimes it's good to be with friends as well. But then I need to sleep or relax for a bit.
Totally get it. Yeah. I think it's about finding the perfect balance, you know, as well, which can be quite hard, but it's hard when you work directly with people because you know that after a long day of work you need to just go home and, you know, just be alone. Recharge your batteries. I totally get that because I used to work a lot with people as well. So yeah, totally understand that. And then Devi, I think I still had to ask you the question on how do you feel safe as a female solo traveler, and what are some practical tips that you could actually share as well when traveling alone?
I couldn't hear Elise's answers, but I think, yeah, go with your gut. Don't drink alcohol too much. It depends also where you are. I would not hitchhike alone. Tell someone where you are if you actually go somewhere alone. And depending on the places, but I normally don't spend much time in cities, but yeah, it depends on the city if it's possible to go out in night or in evenings or not. So, but I generally go anywhere, anytime alone. So, but it's easier. I think it is really easier for me because in a lot of countries, I do fit in optically. So I'm not direct. It's not direct possible to identify me as a traveler.
Mm. And
So, which gives me a lot more protection and going out.
yeah, yeah. And do you feel safe, like pretty safe in the countries that you go to when you're traveling alone as well, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. Otherwise, I wouldn't go there.
But I think, yeah, always just being super cautious of, you know, where you're going and just always being aware of your surroundings and things like that as well is just super important, I think, definitely. Um, we'll move on to my next question as well. So, Elise, we'll start with you again. So, have you ever felt lonely during your solo travels, and how did you actually handle that?
Well, I talked a bit about that before, because I was lonely and alone. So I just called my friend and my mom to just have a chat to talk to someone. And then I got a friend through Facebook. I just talked to my friends and family, and that's it.
So when you talk to your, like, you know, say you talk to your family on the phone, is that sort of enough for you as well to, you know, not feel so lonely anymore as well?
Yeah, but because then I get annoyed and I'm done with people.
I totally get it. Totally get
Yeah.
it.
but a little bit, yes. But then
Yeah.
I realized that I need after, so it helps on that too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's so good that like, we can just use our phones to call people, right?
Yeah.
Back that wasn't, always possible. So it's good that we've got our mobile phones just to call people in case, we do feel a bit lonely as well. But what about you, Devi? Have you ever sort of felt like, I think we sort of touched on it as well, but have you ever sort of felt lonely when you've actually solo traveled as well? And how do you sort of handle if you feel lonely or you don't really feel that ever?
Uh, uh, I would say I might feel alone, but never lonely, because I'm always kind of in a place somewhere. So, but if I would feel alone, and that's different from lonely, then yeah, I would chat with a friend or whatsoever. But lonely, I don't think I ever have felt lonely. Maybe alone, yes, for a short amount of time, but never lonely.
Right, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. I feel like you're a person that really needs your space as well. And it's good that you can like sort of be with yourself alone as well. And I think that's super important too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then my next question, I'll ask you first, Elise, again. How would you say solo travels changed you as a person? Has it ever, contributed to your personal growth or changed you in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I'm way more confident than I was before I went, because if I was like I was then, I couldn't have talked to you at all right now. So
Wow.
yeah, and on my trips, I feel so good. Like, yeah, if I miss the train, I can just take another. It will always work out in the end.
Mm-hmm.
I have that feeling instead of being nervous.
So it's sort of like you just sort of trust with what happens and you just know it's going to work out in the end no matter what.
Yeah, just go with the flow and then it works out.
Yeah. And did it sort of take a while for you to get to that place? Or like with your first solo travel trip, did you feel a little bit sort of scared beforehand and then it sort of you were able to sort of build more confidence as you've gone on?
Well, I did not give myself time to be nervous because I decided now is the time 2 days before, then booked hostel and transport and just went. And then I walked around in the city and decided what I wanted to do when I was there. So
Wow.
I drove all the time and it felt good right away.
That's
So,
so good. It sounds like you just like push yourself to do it as well, which is super important. And then you had no time to feel.
yeah. But I wanted to do it for 4 years before I got the courage to do it. So it took time.
Yeah, 4 years. Wow. Oh my gosh. But I
But
guess
then I just decided I can't wait for people anymore. I just have to go for it. Otherwise, I never would have been able to travel. Oh,
absolutely. I think yeah, like when you say like you just can't wait for people, I think it's so important because I think so many people do that. They just wait for their friend or their partner or anyone in their life that can go with them because I guess they're a bit nervous to travel, but like you said, you just have to go. It's just you just have to make the decision to do it, right?
yeah.
Love that. Love that. And how about you?
I
Oh,
was,
sorry, Elise, you keep going.
I was a bit nervous, but I did not let myself feel it. So yeah.
I feel like yeah, it would be hard to deal with that nervousness and the anxiety because it's like, it's there, but I guess like when you take the action, you don't really think about it because you're just taking the action, you're just going for it, you're just doing it. So you're not even really thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And how about you, Debbie?
Can you repeat the questions?
I can. I was gonna say I'm not sure if she'll remember the question or not. So how has solo travel changed you as a person? How would you say, what would you say to that question?
Haven't done group travel at all, I think. And I would say most likely it gave me more confidence. But yeah, I never really did group travel. So for me, I think the first big travel I did on my own was going to Indonesia in 1991. And yeah, I just needed to go there. And so there was no way or no time to be nervous. So I just needed to go there and see the country. And I barely spoke English, just a bit for the travel, but yeah, was I don't think I actually have been anxious at all about traveling alone, because I was perfectly fine always on my own.
Wow. It sounds like it's just like, it's just what you wanted to do and you just wanted to go for it and you just sort of felt comfortable and it kind of just came naturally to you as well to travel alone.
Yeah, because I mean, when I was a kid, I was mainly on my own, so it was no change in doing things. Of course, a long travel like this was different, and I went to Indonesia to actually meet my father finally. But yeah, it was fine. So nothing happened. I don't think I ever missed a plane or ever missing anything, because in this I'm very German. I'm always anywhere way before time. So
That's a good quality to have.
yeah. So, and I would hate missing any transport. So, but normally I have plenty of time to wait for whatever transport I need to catch. So no, I don't think I have been anxious about traveling at all.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess
And
people they feel like I guess it depends like if you sort of suffer from anxiety and things like that as well, or if you're a bit more of like an anxious person and you might feel a bit scared, sort of being on your own and things like that. But and I guess because it's also the unknown, if it's your first time, it might be a little bit scary for people. But it sounds like it comes, yeah, very like naturally to you, and it's just something that you just love to do by yourself as well, which is great.
now, like Elise said, so if we wait for someone to come, we will never go. And I don't
Yeah.
have time for this. So, if I want to go to whatever place, yeah, it might be nice if someone comes, but maybe no one else is interested in actually going there. So, but I want to see it, so then I just go. And if there are, like Elise said, a lot of versions where you can meet actually people. So if you really need the contact to others, you will have it.
It's
So,
so true.
but the places where I go normally, so that's very me, and so I just don't bother asking anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. And that's the thing, like once you go as well, like you can find other people if you want to as well along the way, like the Facebook group or apps, or there's so many ways to find people nowadays as well, which is great. But the beauty about, I guess, like solo traveling is that you can be by yourself when you want to be by yourself and you get to go the places that you want to go. You don't have to sort of wait for someone else to tell you what they want to do and then you have to sort of go with them even if you don't want to go. I guess that's the beauty of solo traveling, right? So you can definitely have the best of both worlds, which is really nice too. Beautiful. My next questions, we sort of, I guess, spoken about this, about the top tips for sort of overcoming fear and nervousness and, anxiety of traveling alone for the first time. Is there anything else that you guys want to touch on when it comes to that at all?
You should start small if you have never solo traveled before and are really afraid. Maybe visit the neighborhood or go for in the park alone or something.
Yes.
And if you are very, very nervous, you could plan a bit more, but not plan too much either, because then you don't have, or if you plan too much, then you're not able to enjoy it as much. But if you plan too little, then you might be too nervous. So do something in the middle.
It's like having that balance where it's like you're going to plan a little bit, but then not too much. So you sort of have like some control of the plan, but then you're sort of letting go a little bit with not having too much of a plan. And I really like how you said, you know, just go for a walk in the park by yourself, or there's something called like the mere exposure effect, which is where like you expose yourself to like small things first and then you build up to something really big. So yeah, that's really important. And I feel like when it comes to something by yourself, like just like those little steps would create such a big step in the future. So yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Elise.
Mm.
And how about you, Debbie?
For me, it's hard to understand that someone would not want to do that. Yeah, where I just right, do little steps. There are also like a lot of support groups. Like I think I posted it in school. So there is in America and Canada, it's a huge community for female hikers. So, and if you want to hike and you don't want to go alone, you will find someone in your area to actually go with, and little steps. If you're really anxious, maybe some meditation, some breathing techniques will help.
Definitely. That's actually quite good. Like just some breath work and meditation and things like that.
Or maybe you have a very good friend who you can talk about your pros and cons and your worries, and so it might help already to, because a lot of anxiety is maybe in your own head, so it's not real. So, and if you start talking with someone about it, you might see it is just exaggerated in your own head and it's not real. So, and it helps you to actually get rid of the anxiety and go.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. I think it's the fear that holds us back, right? And usually it's just in our own heads. And I guess like we kind of create this like narrative of what could go wrong. And we're always thinking of what could go wrong. But it's important just to, yeah, like really push yourself out of your comfort zone. That's probably the most important thing, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And then my next question is, Elise, we'll start with you again first. So, how do you handle unexpected challenges such as like, you know, missed flights or maybe being sick or, you know, any challenges that come up when you actually solo travel by yourself?
Well, I'm also always early to things I need to be on time on, but I have taken the wrong trains a few times.
No.
I always get lost at some point.
I would be the same because my sense of direction is so bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Thank you for Google Maps.
I know, I wouldn't be able to live without it. It's so, and then with Debbie, we've spoken where your sense of direction is really good as well. So it's funny how everyone's got a different sense of direction, but if it's quite
I told you I'm not human.
But I had my worst experience while in trailing,
oh, what happened?
because my SIM card just stopped working, so I couldn't use Google Maps or something. And then I decided, instead of fixing it right away, I decided to go look around in the city without Google Maps.
No. Oh,
Then
so what happened?
yeah, I was freaking out, And I was like, I called my mom. I was like, help me. I can't get home to the hostel. So I called my mom. I was in Italy and she was in Norway, and helped me get my hostel. So she tried using Google Maps from Norway and told where I was going in Italy. But instead of going straight to the hostel, I went around the hostel. And then I realized the hostel was right behind me the whole time.
Oh my God.
But at least have you been in the hostel or you were on your way to the hostel?
No, I was on my way through the hostel after I was sightseeing. I felt like an idiot because I was so stressed I couldn't think. I should just have asked someone about the name on the hostel. Instead, I called my mom on the other in another country.
Don't worry, I would do the exact same thing. Like, that sounds like something that I would definitely do as well. Because I think when you're stressed out, like talking to your mum is like the first thing, or like talking to someone, I don't know, that you know really well to make you feel safer. And did you have so you could actually call your mum at the time on your phone, but then you didn't have any data, like for internet data for the Google
Yeah,
Maps thing?
actually. Oh, thank you for that. I could call. But I fixed it and I called my phone operator, or my mom called my phone operator, and the phone operator called me because I couldn't search the number.
Oh my gosh.
And then I struggled fixing it, but suddenly it just worked. Oh,
Oh my
but
gosh.
but I felt so bad that I needed one whole day to just relax in the hostel after that.
You're like, I need some downtime now. This is just too much for me. Yeah, no, don't you worry. Like I would do the exact same thing, to be honest. Like you sound very much like me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, can I solo travel anymore?
You're like, I'm done. This is too much. But it's so good that you kept solo traveling anyway. You pushed past the fear, which is
Yeah,
good. But now you know, like, hopefully that won't happen again. But yeah, it's hard with like SIM cards and things like that. 'Cause, even when like I went to Europe, I had to get like a European SIM card, and it was fine once we landed and things. But sometimes it just took a little bit for it to actually work. I think it took like a couple of days for it to register properly, and it's a little bit complicated with those sorts of things. But yeah, it's a little bit scary if you don't really have data on your phone if you're out and about, because it feels like you sort of need something. I guess there is cafes and things like that as well, but it's really just good to have your internet on you, especially as a solo traveler, because you don't really have anything else besides that as well.
yeah. And if you're not too stressed, it's a lot easier to work out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think when you're stressed out, like your mind just overtakes, and it's hard to really think straight in the moment because you're just really like feeling all stressed out and you're just not really sure what you need to do when it's just that moment, isn't it, in time?
Yeah. But then you learn, and it always works out in the end, even if it takes time and you get very frustrated.
Yeah, and it's a good learning experience as well. Like, if you ever get into that again or something happens, it's like you sort of know how to deal with it next time. And I guess it just builds your confidence over time if challenges like that do come up as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And what about you, Debbie? How do you handle unexpected challenges like missed flights or sickness or anything like that on solo travels?
I don't miss flights. I think I only was once sick during traveling, first time in Indonesia because of the food. That's pretty much it. And I don't get lost.
You have such a good sense of direction by the sounds of it. You've been to mountains. I remember the
But to avoid situations like this, normally if I haven't been in a place like new city I'm going, and I look before I travel or before I arrive, I would look up where I arrive and where do I have to go, and in this I fortunately have a very, very good memory. I can find the way without using Google Maps. I hate Google Maps.
That's
So-
just so amazing.
So I use it maybe sometimes in cities. So if I need to look something up, but so generally I'm not working with Google Maps. I do look it up beforehand, and then I have the map memorized in my head, so I don't actually need internet all the time on my phone.
That's so good. It sounds like, yeah.
I-
Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
I'm not human.
I just love how you got a photographic memory. I wish I could have that because I feel like I've got to use Google Maps everywhere because otherwise I have no idea where I'm going. I am someone that gets lost and I can get lost even if I'm using Google Maps. Like I might go like the wrong way or something still. I'm just so bad with my direction, but that's okay. I think I also rely on it a bit too much as well sometimes. And I think when we rely on things like that, we actually just don't use our own ability as well. So that could be why too.
This is why I try to avoid it as much as possible. But I was funny. I met a friend in Casablanca last year, and we walked around in the city, and every so often he was asking, and now where is the harbor? So, and I looked around and I showed him the direction. And he said, "That's crazy. How can you know this?" So my feet remember when I walked it actually. If I would be in car, I don't have this good sense of direction. But if I have walked the place, then I know exactly where I am.
Wow.
That sounds amazing. I have
It's
the memory.
it's very helpful. It's absolutely helpful. When I'm in mountains, so there are so many like points where you actually can orientate yourself on. So I know where I am. In cities, it's more confusing, of course, because pretty much every corner looks the same.
Mm.
Yeah, but like I said, I try to avoid Google Map as much as possible because I need to use my brain for doing things. But I don't want to rely on Google Maps, where what happens if my phone doesn't work like Elise didn't. So I need to be able to find my way without all the technology. And I love my mobile phone. I love my iPad. So because I can do so many things with it, but I can survive without it. I can find my way without. And of course, my language ability it's easier for me to talk, to ask people around. If I cannot find a place I want to go to, I just ask someone.
Yeah, that's so good because yeah, you've got that language ability where you can speak different languages, which is great. So when you go places, you can ask people, which is so good. And I guess another thing as well is like Google Translate is one of the best apps.
You need internet.
Well, that's right. You need internet for that. You need it like, yeah, the ability to have internet for that. But I guess if other people are sort of scared going overseas as well and they don't know the language, I guess like Google Translate is probably the best app to use for that. Would you guys agree on that as well?
Yes, and body language. Body language gestures helps a lot if neither of you speaks any of the languages the other are speaking. Then you can just where you're going and ask for directions, and then they point to go there without saying much.
That Google Translate you're talking about, or is that another app? Sorry, I didn't quite hear you before. I think it my internet stopped for some reason.
Body languages and gestures. You don't need to speak the same language. People still help you.
Right, gestures. Yeah, it's so true. It's like they kind of know the same gestures. Yeah, that's very true actually. Love that. Yeah, I guess that's sort of all of our questions today as well. So, do you guys have anything that you sort of want to touch on or anything that you want to say before we sort of wrap up today as well on solo travel?
No, I have nothing to say.
How about you, Elise? Do you have anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Nothing I can think of.
No, I think we touched on a fair bit, and I think if anyone has any questions, they can always just ask in the comments, and we can always get back to them as well. But thank you guys so much for joining me on this solo travel Q&A. I really, really appreciate you guys, offering your value and things like that, and helping others. And hopefully, this will inspire other women to actually want to solo travel as well, which is the goal about that. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you both.
Oh,
Thank you for